Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And we will share the screen. December 17th in Asia. See what we have today. First topic, when kids embrace Hinduism. For best results in passing on your faith, present concepts as life-enhancing tools rather than life-restricting rules. So that's easy to remember in English, tools versus rules. Life-enhancing versus life-restricting. 2011 Publisher's Desk. This Publisher's Desk is based upon interactions with Hindu parents who are challenged by their children not wanting to attend the temple or participate in other Hindu activities. All too often, Hindu concepts and practices are explained to children and youth as rules rather than as tools. Rules restrict what we can do. Fix one thing here. And have the sense of making things less enjoyable. Kids especially rebel at too many rules. Tools, on the other hand, make them more effective and improve their quality of life. How can we transform cumbersome rules into appealing tools? That's the question for you. How do you make a rule into a tool? We can transform cumbersome rules into appealing tools by clearly explaining to young ones the processes involved in a practice or custom, and most importantly, the benefits it has to offer. We need to understand the benefits and explain them clearly. The object is to catch the child's interest, to show how Hinduism will help her make spiritual progress and enjoy a happier and more successful life. It is inspiration, not rules, that drive. Unfortunately, parents may not take the time to give thoughtful, complete answers to such questions, and instead take the easy route, decreeing it's what our family has always done. Because many of their friends don't have to follow such a strict code of conduct, youth hearing this answer can easily conclude that Hinduism is just a set of rules that makes life restrictive and unhappy. Before answering these questions in a way that transforms them from rules into tools, let's review some basic concepts. These are what can be called the big ideas. First idea is that everything affects your consciousness. Interesting idea. Yogaswami explained, what you think, that you become. If you think God, you become God. If you think food, you become food. Everything influences consciousness. Interesting statement. Second big idea is that each of us is a soul, a divine being in a physical body. And we have a threefold nature, as we know. The deepest level, we are a pure, radiant, blissful soul. That is our spiritual or intuitive nature. We also have an intellectual nature and an instinctive nature. So we have three aspects: spiritual, knowing and being; intellectual, thinking; and instinctive, feeling. Instinctive nature consists of our lower animal instincts, such as self-preservation, procreation, hunger, and thirst. It also includes the emotions of greed, hatred, anger, fear, lust, and jealousy. This is our desire, feeling nature. The intellectual nature is our faculty of reason and logical thinking. It's the source of discriminating thought. Intuitive nature is the mind of light, of omniscient knowing, omnipresent awareness, pure consciousness, truth, and love. Slides are a little slow. Using this pair of big ideas, we are now ready to answer the three questions. Why are we vegetarian? So, of course, there's a number of answers, including most prudent use of the resources of the earth, global pollution, global warming. But this is the answer that fits in with the idea that everything affects our consciousness. So the vegetarianism and consciousness. See, have to wait for the slide here. In India, vegetarianism is well established, and not eating meat is seldom a target for criticism. In other countries, however, being a vegetarian is the exception, and vegetarian children are often the brunt of ridicule, peer pressure, and chiding. Adding injury to insult, in most school cafeterias and at social events, veggie options are meager, unimaginative, and unhealthy. French fries. There is particularly nothing a vegetarian student can eat. Explain to children that if they want to live in higher consciousness in their soul nature, in peace and happiness and love for all creatures, they cannot eat meat, fish, shellfish, fowl, or eggs. The reason for this is that by ingesting the grosser chemistries of animal foods, one introduces into the body and mind anger, jealousy, fear, anger, suspicion, and the terrible fear of death, all of which is locked biochemically into the flesh of butchered creatures. In other words, meat eating will strengthen their instinctive nature and make them more prone to these lower emotions. By eating meat, they will become angry more often and experience darker moods. Very simple answer. We're vegetarian because meat eating stimulates the instinctive nature. Gurudeva stated, vegetarianism is very important. In my 50 years of ministry, it has become quite evident that vegetarian families have far fewer problems than those who are not vegetarian. Children who are awakening to this understanding all over the world are becoming vegetarians all on their own. And these days, with a GPS-enabled iPad, a little research and creativity, vegetarian options can be discovered just about anywhere. And the next question, why must we go to the temple every week? How would you answer that question? What's the benefit? Explain to children that worshiping in the temple is one of the traditional ways Hinduism gives us for connecting with our soul nature and experiencing ananda, the natural bliss of the soul. So it helps us experience our soul nature if we approach it in the right spirit. Youth can visit the temple in a state of discontent, receive the blessings of God and the gods, and go away uplifted and happy. How is this possible? The deity's blessings have cleared their mind and aura of congested thought forms and emotions, allowing them to reconnect with their inner self. The blessings lift them out of their instinctive nature and soften their intellectual nature, bringing them into their spiritual nature. Once children catch the idea that temple worship is a great tool for stabilizing their emotions when they get upset, their reluctance to join the family will change. The temple will become important to them, not just to mom and dad. Temple worship will help them remain calm and centered even in difficult circumstances. They will find that going in the right spirit is a way of pulling themselves back together. It is also a place for assuaging long-held hurts. Teach children to go to the temple and place their problems at the feet of the deity, to bring offerings, talk to the deity about their unhappiness, just as if they were talking to a friend in this physical world. There with the deity, they will go through a deep inner process and receive blessings from the deity. They open themselves in the right way. So that's the key. You need to open yourself in the right way. They may find that when they leave the temple, they can't remember what the problem was. That's a sign of success. Of course, the benefits of attending a temple every week are not limited to times that they are emotionally upset. Even when everything is going well in their life, worshiping at the temple with sincerity and attentiveness takes them deeper into their soul nature. They will be more compassionate and understanding, better able to deal with the challenges that come to them in life. Once your child realizes that worship is a powerful Hindu tool and not just another adult rule, she will ask you to take her to the temple every week. Why can't I listen to hip-hop music? Or whatever the latest version of that is. How would you answer that question? Music, especially when listened to for extended periods, strongly influences our state of consciousness. Whatever children listen to brings them into one state of consciousness or another. Gurudeva was outspoken on this topic. He felt that the type of music played in the home and the message it delivers are crucial. He stated that great care should be exercised to exclude the crass music and lyrics of lower consciousness. The drug culture and its demonic music erode the very fabric of human character and culture. Go for it, Gurudeva. Erode the very fabric of human character and culture. If your child catches this idea, her musical preferences will evolve, not because of rules you impose, but because she understands how different kinds of music influence her mood and mind. At the very least, she will avoid crude negative hip-hop and listen only to the genre's higher strains. Ideally, the music played in the home should be beautiful Hindu music played on traditional instruments, which takes everyone in the family into their refined and cultured soul nature. To conclude, taking time to give sensible answers to your child's questions about every Hindu practice is definitely worthwhile. Include in your explanation how the practice or restriction influences her consciousness. This will greatly increase the chances of her enthusiastically following the practice. And in some instances, your child will become inspired to urge other Hindu youth to give it a try as well. And moving on to our second topic, some questions came in about the 4 perspectives. I assume I am in Simnif when working on a math problem where my awareness is focused on a problem, and my mind is moving through different methods of how to solve it, and also drawing up memorized forms from the subconscious. The problem is when in Simnif and moving my mind to different areas of the mind, am I not moving my awareness to different areas, which is Shumif? Answer. different thoughts do not constitute different states of consciousness. So we could be thinking about solving one type of math problem and then move on to solving another type, but our state of consciousness could be the same. It doesn't relate to the thinking process. A different state of consciousness would be moving from worry to contentment in the process of solving the problem. So if we, in solving the problem, were to move from worry to contentment, we have moved to another state of consciousness. But the next part is what's important. And that would be shumif only if during that process you see yourself as the awareness which is the same in both states of consciousness. In other words, the essence of shumif is you are the awareness. Though the states of consciousness are changing, you're not changing. How could one be in both Simnif and Shumif perspectives at the same time? This question relates to Gurudeva's statement that a fully developed Saivite should be able to experience at will each of these four perspectives, consciously live in two, three, or more at the same time, as did the rishis of yore. Well, how can you live in those two at the same time? You are in Shumif, the Shumif perspective, whenever you identify as being awareness and not the current state of consciousness. You're the observer. You're the consciousness, you're not in Shumif. If you start studying something in the realm of matter, such as a flowering plant, and still identify as being awareness and not your state of consciousness, then you are in Shumif and Simnif at the same time. Next question. I think I might be in Shumif when something upsets me and I move my awareness away from that area of the mind to another area of the mind that is peaceful and stable. Answer. Yes, as long as you identify with awareness as being you rather than either of the states of consciousness. In other words, individuals move from being upset to being peaceful all the time, but identify with those states of consciousness. I was upset then, now I am peaceful. So the I is the state of consciousness. It's not Shumif. For it to be Shumif, the person would need to feel I as awareness was in an upset state of consciousness, and now I as awareness am in a peaceful state of consciousness. I as the experiencer was the same in each of those states of consciousness. So that's Shumif. You don't change. The state of consciousness you are looking at changes. So you are so identified with the watcher, you don't identify with what's being watched. Shumif. Third topic. Some quotes from Yoga Swami's Words of our Master. When you go to bed, keep your mind free from thoughts. If thoughts arise, get up and think them out before you go to bed again. When you go to sleep, be free from thoughts by postponing everything to the next morning. So Yoga Swami, he's giving us two options to avoid lying there and thinking a lot when you're trying to go to sleep, which puts you into a shallow state of consciousness during sleep. Either get up and think it through or postpone it until tomorrow. Postponing it, that's one of the tools we give in how to control our thoughts, is you set up an appointment with yourself and forget it until the appointment time arrives, which in this case is the next morning. I'll think about you tomorrow morning. That's soon enough. Holiness begins with the realization that you are the Atma. So here's our two-step process applied to this. First step is simply the intellectual knowledge that the Atma is there within us. Second is the ability to experience the Atma, which is, of course, the goal of many Hindu practices. So that's the fullness of holiness, is being the Atma within us. Thank you very much. Oh.